Alright, the first new cards of Terminal World is here with old legacy support again. And it's been support that I've been kind of wanting to see for quite a while. Well, mainly one archetype, but the other one I do like to see as well. And I know they're not anime related archetypes, but these are some of my favorite archetypes, so why not? So let's begin with the Ice Barriers and Infernoids. Starting with the Ice Barriers, first up we got Georgius, Swordman of the Ice Barrier, which is a level 6 water wing beast tuner with 2000 attack with 1200 defense. Its first and second effect are both hard once per turn, which the first one is if you control a Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense, which is of course gonna help out with synchro plays because special summon plus it's being a tuner, a big tuner at that, so make it easier for your big boss monsters. But anyway, to the second effect, if this card is no more special summon, you can special summon one level 5 or lower Ice Barrier monster from your hand or graveyard, which in turn is first effect trigger the second effect, giving you for a play. And third effect, which is a continuous effect, monsters in your opponent's graveyard cannot activate their effects while you control another Ice Barrier monster. Basically, Necro Valley their graveyard while you get to make your plays. Overall, not too bad, and of course you must run this because it's just a good play extension. Next, Mere Magic Master of the Ice Barrier, which is a level 2 Aqua Tuner with 1000 attack, 400 defense. Both of the effects are hard once per turn. The first one is that you contribute one other effect monster, special summon up to 3 Ice Barrier tokens, Water, Aqua, level 1 with 0 attack and defense. If you do, increase this card's level equal to the amount that you special summon, but you cannot special summon monster for the rest of the turn from the extra deck except for Water Synchros, aka mainly the Ice Barriers. And also White Aura Fish monsters if I remember correctly. But yeah, 1 tribute for 3 tokens and increasing this card's level by 5, which can give you a level 8 Synchro, but there's also level 7 Synchro like Gungnir. You can even summon Brionic, and those other 2 tokens can do other stuff for more plays. Yeah, this is just pretty good on the first effect. But the second effect is that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you could even use it as Synchro material. You can add 1 Ice Barrier card that is banished or in your deck to your hand except itself. Yeah, it must be played because this is basically play extension. And then to the new boss monster, Lancia, Dragonic Ancestor of the Ice Spirit Mountain. Doesn't say Ice Barrier in name, but I'm pretty sure this is actually Ice Barrier in translation. Anyway, it's a level 10 Water Dragon Synchro with 3300 attack, 2700 defense, requires 1 Water Tuner and 1 or more non-tuner. The effect is, once per chain, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can special summon 1 Ice Barrier monster from your hand, deck or extra deck or graveyard, then you can change 1 attack position monster to defense position that your opponent controls. Too bad it has to be on a chain, but just the fact that you can special summon any Ice Barrier from anywhere is just very powerful, especially when you do have boss monsters in your main deck as well. And keep in mind, some of them don't need to be synchro summoned to activate their effects. So yeah, this first effect is actually pretty decent even though it's on a chain. But the second effect is that if this face-up synchro summon card in the owner's control leaves the field by your opponent, you can special summon 1 Ice Barrier synchro monster from your extra deck and it's treated as a synchro summon. Yes, by your opponent, so it cannot be by yourself because that might be too OP, but just being able to basically replace itself for a new boss monster from your extra deck is just pretty nice. And now it makes sense why it doesn't have Ice Barrier in its name, because otherwise you can summon another copy of itself. You always have Trishula that you can summon, even the level 11 Trishula, and then to the level 9. Overall, pretty cool. And then finally a trap, Frozen Domains leading to the Ice Barrier, which is a continuous trap, and the first effect is that your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to activation of your Ice Barrier monster effects. Pretty decent protection right there, meaning it cannot be negated. The second effect is a hard once per turn, is where if your monster is special summoned from the extra deck, you can return 1 Ice Barrier monster you control to your hand or to your deck, then place 1 card on the field or in the graveyard to the bottom of the deck. This is so you can clear up your board to make more plays, and basically there is some recycling here. It's an okay effect, but I'm not going to say it's the best. But the third effect is once per turn during the end phase, reveal 3 Ice Barrier monsters with different names from your extra deck or destroy this card. I can say it's pretty nice protection, and revealing 3 Ice Barriers from your extra deck isn't even hard as a condition. Just be warned that it could be considered public knowledge to your opponent, but other than that, this is not too bad of a card. And then to the new Infernoid stuff, the first one being Infernoid Evo. Evil. Don't know if they will change the name of that one, but okay. It's a level 1 Fire Fiend fusion with 1100 attack, 1100 defense, requires 2 Infernoid monsters as material. You're going to use Void Imagination for this summon. But anyway, the effect is that, first off, both are hard ones per turn. The first one being if this card's fusion summoned, you can banish 1 Infernoid monster from your graveyard, send Infernoid monsters from your deck to the graveyard that has different names from each other to the banished monsters level. Basically, if you banish something like a level 10 Infernoid, you can send a bunch of Infernoids to your graveyard that has different names from each other until they equal to level 10. If you banish a level 8, you just send monsters to the graveyard from your deck until they equal to level 8. Which can be a very helpful effect sometimes because it basically just gives you more resources to the graveyard. Infernoids need to banish their stuff from the graveyard to be able to do more plays, and of course they can always special summon themselves from the graveyard as well, so this is actually pretty nice, even if you do end up losing one of your big boss monsters doing so. But sometimes that big boss monster can be a dud in the graveyard, so just having more resources in the graveyard can be very helpful to just do more plays. But the second effect is also hard once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard or banish, you can add 1 void spell and trap from your deck to your hand. Sending this to the graveyard is really easy when you can just perform a link summon, and just being banished is also very easy because Infernoids need to be banishing from the graveyard to do summons. In a way, it's a nice card, and not only that, it's a good target for Inferno Tiara, the level 11, because you could just send this to the graveyard from the extra deck, because it doesn't have to be from the field, just so you could add your Void Spell and Trap from your deck to your hand. Too bad it's a hard once per turn, but it is doable. And then surprisingly, we got a new link monster for Infernoids, Infernoid Flood, which is a link 4 Fire Fiend with 3000 attack, pointing bottom left, bottom right, and to the top. Requires at least 2 monsters, including an Infernoid monster, and all its effects are hard once per turn. The first one is if your opponent would special summon a monster, quick effect, you can tribute 1 monster to negate that summon. If you do, banish those monsters. Very helpful to clear up the field, and you can always tribute itself, which is probably something you're not really good to do considering that this is a link monster, while Infernoid's playstyle is a star restriction of 8 on the field, and this one has no stars, but sometimes tributing this can also be very helpful. But the second effect is that if this card is banished from your graveyard, you can banish 1 card on the field, which is very likely going to happen because banish target and Infernoids need to banish stuff from the graveyard to summon themselves. In which we go to the third effect. If this link summons card is in its owner control being destroyed by the opponent, you can special summon 1 Inferno monster from your deck, ignoring summon's condition. Which is going to be very important because all of them cannot be normal summon or special summon except by banishing a certain amount of Infernoids from your graveyard or hand. So just being able to replace itself for a big boss monster from your deck like Onanku that can just dark hold the field is pretty nice. And of course, being a link monster is also very nice because link monsters have no stars. The Infernoids are restricted to up to 8 stars to the field. Once it passes 8 stars on the field, you cannot summon any more monsters. For now, it's still level and rank that are the star monsters. So who knows what other star monsters there will be, but it so far counts level and exceeds. So being a link monster is just very nice because they just have no stars. And then we got the spells, the first one being Void Blaze Up, which is a normal spell. Reveal 1 Infernoid monster or 1 Void Spell and Trap from your hand. Discard your whole entire hand, then draw the same number of cards that you discarded. Basically, it's a card destruction for yourself, which of course can be very helpful because you are sending your resources to the graveyard instead of banishing them from hand, and redrawing the hand can be very helpful. But the second effect is a once per duel effect, where if you control no monsters or all other monsters you control are just fiends and this card's in your graveyard except during the turn that was sent there, you can banish it, then target up to 11 banished Infernoids with different names and return them to the graveyard. There's 1 Infernoid per level up to 10, plus the addition of few extra Infernoids. So you will probably have almost 11 targets. Not exactly 11 since you're not going to run all of them, but just being able to re-get all your resources that you banish is just very helpful. And that little card destruction part is also very helpful because you don't need to banish from hand to summon your other Infernoid because that's even worse than banishing it from the graveyard. So just being able to just send them to the graveyard to refresh your hand is pretty nice. And also there's graveyard special summoning. So this is a pretty good support card, I would say. Finally, Void Barrier, which is a continuous spell, and the first effect is that Inferno monsters you control get 100 attack for every banished Inferno monster, which you're definitely going to have a lot because your boss monsters need at least 2 or 3, and every Inferno need at least 1 banished from hand or graveyard just to summon themselves, so this does build up over time. So this isn't exactly too bad. But the second effect is that if you control no monsters or all monsters you control are fiend, you can activate one of these effects. Add one of your banished Inferno monsters back to your hand, or special summon one Inferno monsters from your hand, ignoring summoning condition. Both effects are pretty useful. Ignoring the summoning condition can be very helpful, especially when sometimes you just don't have any resources from your graveyard, and in a way, sometimes will even save you resources so because you don't need a banish. And even just recycling a banished Inferno is also very helpful. Too bad it's hard once per turn in the same effect, split in sections, because I would have loved it if they were just split effects so you could just add it back to your hand and then special summon, but oh well. This is overall a pretty good card for Infernoids, and I do recommend running this. So that's it for the new Ice Barrier and Infernoid support in Terminal World. It might be called something different in the TCG, but this is the OCG set. And overall, I'm just glad to see support for these again, especially Infernoids, because I do play Infernoids and that deck has not got support for a while, and I'm just glad it finally got its support. New Link monster is nice, and the new Fusion monster is pretty nice. And for the Ice Barrier, nice to see a new boss monster that's pretty decent and pretty cool support, but interested in Infernoids. But other than that, that's it for this, and see you all next time.